Let's see.
Woo!
Yep, live. We are live. All right. Welcome, everybody, to another Serious Angler podcast, episode number 123. I don't know if anybody else is OCD like me, but number 123 just kind of satisfying. I don't know.
It is very satisfying. I was just thinking, I was like, man, that's awesome. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, right? How you doing, dude?
Good. How are you? I'm actually really sore today, but...
You're doing sore? You're sore? Have you working out or what?
No, the river was it was worse Saturday than when we fished for whatever reason.
Oh,
it got beat up.
Saturday was like a south wind, though, wasn't it?
It wasn't from the waves. It was pleasure boat traffic.
Oh, man. That's right.
We caught so many fish that blew a blood vessel in my elbow. Like, we're doing good.
Your guns are just sore as hell from boat flipping fives, weren't you?
We didn't boat flip any fives, but a lot of 3.5s.
Hey, any A-rig fish is a good fish. So
yes.
You put the A-rig to work, dude.
Yeah, I broke 2 Umbrella Flush Mob Juniors, and I went through about 9 packs of Kitex. So,
yeah, that hurts. An expensive day.
It is what it is. I'll buy some more.
A good day, nonetheless. That's a good.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, dude, we got some. I know you had a derby this past weekend. How did you do?
Came in 5th. It was a small derby, 10 boats, and 9 of the boats ran to Lake Erie. And me and my buddy Justin decided to stay in the river and just try to catch as many fish as we possibly could and hope for like 19 to 20 pounds. We lost 2 big bites that probably would have got us to 4th over 5th. We lost, no shot at competing with the lake fish. 25 pounds won. Second was 23, and then third was just under 21. So when we got there and he's like, "Lake's open," we're like, "Oh, yeah, we're not going to the lake." Whatever. We had fun.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good, dude. It's a weird day. I got rid of the kayak today.
Yeah, big news. Gonna buy a bass boat, right?
I know. We got Garrett queued up here, and I didn't mention to him, but yeah, we got rid of the yak. We're going to get back into a kayak. The boat isn't yet. This is probably the last boat I'll have until the big boat. But we got a pretty cool thing coming up. We're gonna get everything all figured out, but we got some cool stuff I'll announce after, in our outro today after the episode, and some cool stuff we'll talk about. But I don't want to waste any more time. I want to shout out Garrett sponsors real quick and get Garrett on here because we got some fun stuff to talk about. So real quick, on behalf of myself, Andy, and Garrett, we're all part of Team Douglas. Huge shout out to Douglas Outdoors for your guys' support of the Serious Angler podcast. So thank you guys. Really appreciate what you guys do for us, and keep making the stellar rods that we beat the living hell out of. Not as much as Garrett beats them up, but we beat them up pretty good. And huge shout out to Queen Tackle. You guys have been a huge supporter of us in recent, and looking forward to keeping that up going down the road. And hopefully I stop losing your guys' drop shot weights because it's starting to make me angry too.
Tungsten gets expensive fast.
It does.
I hate it when I have to place like $100 or $200 order of tungsten, and then it's like halfway through the summer, it's like, crap, I got to order that again. Like,
right?
It's brutal.
Yeah, but super appreciate Queen Tackle. Thank you guys, and a huge shout out to Amped Outdoors. Some pretty big stuff in store with the podcast and Amped, and huge shout out to Amped for backing up us at big time. That announcement will be coming up soon down the road.
Thanks, guys.
Huge shout out. But without further ado, let's stop talking gibberish. We'll get Mr. Garrett Paquette in here. What's going on, man?
Hey guys, thank you for having me, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're all.
Yeah, that was the first time I heard that story about the A-rig. I am extremely jealous now. That's my favorite way to catch smallmouth, and I am probably gonna load my truck up right now and start driving to your house.
Come on over, man. We're on a freaking ridiculous bite. We'll have some fun.
That's the Niagara River, is it?
Niagara River, yeah. So
wow, that's amazing.
The ramp is 6 minutes from my house.
Okay.
And on a Tuesday night, we went out like a week and a half ago and caught like 35 fish in 2 hours, all 3 pounds plus. And then on Saturday we fished the Derby, and we probably caught over 100 fish.
Jeez. Yeah, that's exceptional fishing right there. That's as good
ridiculous. As it gets. Yeah, throwing the 765X Matrix and just putting the level to them every time.
Man.
And 3 mile an hour current. So dumb.
Jeez. We get like that in the Detroit River. We don't get like 100 fish days, but we're probably about 3 or 4 weeks from that really taking off too. And that's just a great time of year, man. You just catch some of the biggest fish, and that's the ultimate way to power fish. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm actually very new to it. So my buddy's like, "You gotta do this." I'm like, "All right." So I went out with them and just been addicted since.
That's
it's
cool.
been like 3 weeks. Yeah.
That get expensive too.
Yeah, I always joke around. I'm like, I'm not throwing that chandelier around. Like, my arms are gonna fall off halfway through the day. Just about did.
Well, I think your first A-rig
by the end of the season.
What's that?
Oh, I was gonna say, just by the end of the season, you're gonna have huge muscles.
Oh, I'm sure.
Keep it up.
Yeah, my first actually good A-rig bite was with Bailey when we fished a tournament a couple weeks ago. It was like a 2.5 that ultimately didn't help us. But I've caught small ones on it before, but I've just never really put the time into it.
Yeah,
so,
it's definitely like people think, they think you just go out and throw it, and it's like a magic bait, and you're just gonna catch fish, and that's definitely not the not the deal. I mean, it's certainly a tool, and you need to know how to use it. But when you do, it's a really powerful technique, especially this time of year.
Oh, for sure. Especially if you know what you're looking at on your graph and making very specific casts and retrieves. They chow it when they want to, but yeah, good times. So how's your season going so far, Garrett?
It's been it's kind of been like a up and down. I think I was on after the first tournament, right? Yeah. So I had my first tournament of the year in Florida. It was an absolute bomb at the St. John's River. And then we had
Florida.
Florida. I'll just put it off as that. But then we had 5 months off, which was, something that the whole world's not used to, and it is what it is. And went to Eufaula. I think I finished in the 20s, 25th, 23rd, something like that, which was good. 22 it was.
Mm-hmm. I pulled up on my other screen.
Okay, 22. All right, well, test my memory. 22nd at Eufaula, which was, that was good. That's obviously a good finish anytime you make the cut, but that kind of style of fishing is like when I really expected to probably contend for a win every time. So it was kind of a letdown, and I had an awesome practice. It just never, it just didn't go easy during the tournament. I mean, it was just kind of a struggle, and it is what it is. Take it and move on. From there, we went to St. Lawrence, and I think that was 14th, maybe 14th, 15th.
Yep,
14th. Yeah. So that's another really good event. Another place that's literally my favorite fishery in the world. And that's another one that, like, I don't know. I mean, the minute I ever put my boat in the water there, you just kind of mesh with it. And that's just one of those places. So I'm super comfortable there. That was actually kind of a really tough event for me as well. I caught like a 4 to 6 pound fish every single day in the last 15 minutes of every tournament day. So it was really stressful up until the end, but it was a lot of fun. And then from there, we went to Champlain, which 27, 28, 29. 29th. Another, make the cut, can't complain. Got to catch a bunch of smallmouth. That place was on fire. We absolutely crushed them. I mean, the weights are really good. I think it took almost 17 pounds a day to make the top 40, which for Champlain,
magical. That's really good.
That's a really high cut weight. And then I got a couple weeks off, and I got to go to my home lake, and I finished 70th, maybe 69, 70th, somewhere in there.
69th, but
so
hey, you at least got some money out of it.
Yeah, got some money out of it. That's the nice thing about the elites. Everyone gets paid now, but that was a tough one. I mean, St. Clair it's a lake that I live by, so like you kind of get the notion it's your home lake, and that's true to a sense because it's the biggest, major tournament body of water I have, but it's certainly not a lake I grew up fishing a lot. I mean, I spend my time fishing little reservoirs and lakes around the house, and that's kind of how I cut my teeth. But, that's still a huge disappointment. I had a pretty good first day, and I had a lot of weird things happen on day 2. I mean, a lot of them, and I only caught 3 fish. I lost 2 giant ones, and that was that. So it was pretty disappointing because you don't want to do that in front of your friends and family. So, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
And
I
there's
remember-
only one. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you can go ahead, Andy. Yeah,
I was going to say the one major variable there that we can all blame is probably smallmouth. So, because that's just the way they are.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And it's a lake that's, and I know we're going to go into this a little bit more, but it's a lake that's, kind of really random, and the fish do unexplainable things at times. They don't really, relate to anything. And it's a really easy place to kind of get behind when you maybe don't have a good morning and you start trying to run around and do some things that you shouldn't do out there. It's a really easy place to just never catch up. And, when you're on them, it's so easy. And when you're not on them, it's like you can't even catch a fish. It's amazing.
Yeah. I remember you speaking to, in the podcast, the first podcast when I had you on, myself and you had mentioned how when you were growing up and getting into fishing and you're learning, how you didn't spend that much time on St. Clair, and a lot of the time that you did spend on St. Clair was on the docks while your dad went out and went fishing for, trout or whatever. I don't think that was St. Clair, but that was the Great Lakes that you had.
Great Lakes, yeah, Lake Huron.
But most of your experience was on local lakes, so that you can get kind of well versed, so that when you traveled around the country, you were better prepared for different situations, rather than just spending your time on this legendary smallmouth fishery and only being prepared for when you came back on this smallmouth fishery. So it was kind of cool to kind of hear how you prepared for that. And I think it's definitely paying off for you now. And I think it's only the beginning for you. But I'm interested to hear, because obviously you did well on day one. I think you had 18 pounds?
It was like almost 20, 19, 15, I think.
Okay.
Oh, you might as well call that 20.
Yeah. So what happened? I know you said you dropped some big ones, but day two, do you think there was any mental pressure in there being at your home lake? Because you hear about that all the time, where guys either do really good, it's a hero, or zero on your home lake. So what was going through your head? Day two, because obviously you did good day one, but I'm
right.
Curious.
Yeah, the pressure thing is, for me, I sign up to Fish the Elite Series and try to compete against the best in the world. There's always pressure on me, that's the way I put it. I don't care. I don't care where it's at. I come to try to win the tournament. So there's always that level of pressure. The hometown thing, you hear about it and you do the media and everything before the tournament. But to me, it doesn't change the fishing. You're going out there to catch 5 fish each day. So that doesn't really affect me. It just, not to go into too many details, it just like right off the start, I had some issues that cost me a decent amount of fishing time. And the mornings were a really important time to get out there and kind of get your day rolling. And I kind of just got behind and I started really forcing things. And, instead of maybe just getting into one area and fishing all day, I went into that area, fished it for a little bit. It wasn't happening. So I made a big run to, some other spots that I thought would work. And you get to a couple of them and there's a guy here and a guy there, and then you get into a few, and there's locals getting out there on the weekend, and it just kind of it just really spiraled. And I don't even know if I had a fish till like 11 or 12, and then I finally caught a couple, and I was like, starting to settle down a little bit, and I hung one that I'm not a guy to sit here and talk about the lost fish, but it was probably pretty certain going to be the big fish of the tournament, which I think was like just under 6.5. And I fought it for like 3-4 minutes, and it came off at the boat. And it was like a really specific current related area where like the fish, I almost consider it like a TVA school, where it's really important to keep the fish biting and do all that. And the minute I lost it, I kept fishing them and I never got another bite. So it completely killed that spot. And I ran back out into the lake and I hooked another one, like a 4.5 to 5 pounder, and I broke it off. So I didn't retie enough and broke one off on 6-pound test, like the only fish I've broken off on 6-pound test this year. And I throw it a ton. So it's like, it's still pretty pathetic to have 5 bites in a day out there, but you land those 2 fish and you got 21 pounds, and it's like, nothing ever happened. So
no doubt.
It was a tough one. But
gut wrenching.
Yeah.
Just to hear that too.
Yeah. I'm not someone that likes to sit there and dwell on it. Obviously, if you watch the guys that did well, they went through 10 4-pounders a day. So there's no excuse to, not come in with 5 because you lost 2 of them. So, but that is what happened.
Yeah.
Everybody has bad days, right? Everyone.
Right.
So it is what
Right.
it is. Just you have to move on
Yeah.
to the next event and be ready and
Mhm.
go put 5 more in the boat day one and swing away.
Yeah. We kind of laugh about it. Now I'm saying that I got through the northern events. Now it's time to kind of get back into what I feel comfortable doing, which is exactly opposite of what you'd think being from Michigan. But
Right.
I'm kind of glad, like, I survived Champlain, the St. Lawrence River. Now we're going back down south and fishing largemouth, which is what I love to do.
I understand your pain. Bailey makes fun of me all the time because I live 10 minutes from Lake Erie. And I'm like, I want to go catch largemouth. And he's like,
I'm
what?
with you,
Why?
I don't know if it's because we live up here and like we can always do it, and largemouth are so much, it's like a treat for us. I don't know how to explain it, but I'd rather do that every single day.
Like probably the best largemouth lake closest to me is like an hour and a half away. And it's like 10 minutes from Bailey. And I'm like, I want to go catch largemouth. And he's like, why? You have smallmouth. I'm like, because I can catch them any day I want.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, we're spoiled, man. I mean,
very spoiled.
The only way to put it.
I shouldn't say that because I have Lake Ontario 30 minutes north of me. I just don't spend that much time out there.
And that's a pretty good smallmouth lake too, I've heard.
You have Cayuga Lake, which is like probably one of the best lakes in New York. Like what, 45 minutes from you, maybe an hour,
depending on the launch, 30 to an hour, depending on where you want to go. But
so like, why wouldn't you spend all your time there? So
I do spend most of my time.
I know, but you can catch both. I'm stuck brown fish or drive an hour and a half to catch green ones. So,
yeah. So before we move on to another topic here, our number one fan is watching tonight, and he's got a couple questions.
Forrest?
Yes, Forrest. Okay. And Forrest is a good buddy of ours, but he's got a couple questions for you, Garrett. And I'll space these out a little bit, but the first question, and I'm gonna change it up a little bit. So his question is, if you could carry 4 rods all over the country, what would they be? My question for you would be, if you could carry 4 Douglas rods, shameless plug, all over the country, what would they be?
That's a good question. First off, I'd start with X Matrix 724 spinning rod, 7.2 medium power. That'll do drop shot and shaky head, wacky Senkos, little swim baits, kind of like your do-it-all spinning rod. That'd be the only spinning rod I'd carry.
Yep.
Then I would do 715 X Matrix casting rod, really good, like lipless crankbait, chatterbait, jig, buzz bait. Even I throw a frog on it when I'm skipping a frog, trying to make accurate casts, swim jig, stuff like that. Kind of like a reaction style bait, multi-purpose. 7.1 medium heavy. Then I do a 745 X Matrix, which is 7.4. And it's rated as a medium heavy, but I'd say it's probably a little more towards a heavy, which is like a really good flipping stick. Anything you're throwing on braided line, frogs, but not necessarily like making accurate casts, more so like mat fishing, punching grass, like I said, flipping. You could be flipping wood with that one, fluorocarbon, swim baits, heavier jigs, your bigger stuff. And then I'd probably go with, let me think. Those 3 actually kind of do a lot. I'd probably do a 765 X Matrix as well. And that would be for the big stuff, big football jigs. You could even throw a deep crank on it. Like the bigger deep cranks is probably not my ideal rod for it, but if you had to do it, you could do it.
Yeah.
1 ounce and above flipping, big swim baits, ounce swim baits, stuff like that. Spoons, your big ledge baits. So I do those rods. You got a 7.4, 7.6, 7.1 casting rod, 7.2 medium spinning rod. That'd be 4 pretty good rods, I think.
Heck yeah, I like that. Sweet. Andy's currently taking notes on his next order.
Well, Bailey already knows my favorite rod, but it's a 755. I have 2 of them, and
that's a good rod.
It's probably my favorite rod.
Yeah, I really like the 744, 745. Those 2 they just introduced those this year, and those are awesome. I'm not super tall. I mean, 5'10", 5'9". But I used a lot of like 7.6 and above rods, especially with flipping, and they were fine. But I've gone to a 7.4, and man, it kind of made a world of difference. I mean, I just feel like I've been so much more accurate. I've had so much more control over the rod, and I almost feel like I kind of hurt myself in the past with going too long. And I kind of stepped it back a bit, and those 2 rods have been awesome for me.
Yeah, I personally absolutely love the 744.
Yeah,
I love those. Just I've discovering over in the past few months, I really like it for a 3/4 to an ounce and a half chatterbait.
Mm-hmm.
I really like it for that.
Very good chatterbait rod.
Yeah, it's been pretty fun. But I've been trying to get Andy into a 744, but every time I talk to him, he just brings up. He goes, "Good morning, 755."
I do have a 744, but it's the LRS. So I bought it for buzzbait fishing, actually. So it's a pretty good buzzbait rod.
Yeah, that'd be really good for that.
Nice. So let's switch gears a little bit. I want to talk about what's coming up for you guys, but I think it's only right if we talk about the topic that we brought up offline of St. Clair versus the Great Lakes. Now that we've recently talked about St. Clair and your previous season, I think it's good to bring it up now. And the question I had for you was, you hear all these guys that talk about these smallmouth fisheries up north, right? Mm-hmm. They talk about the Great Lakes, they talk about the river, and they put St. Clair in that same boat. But you know better than most of us that, St. Clair sets up a lot different than any other really smallmouth fishery does.
Yeah,
right?
Than any other fishery. I mean, it's the reason I didn't spend a ton of time there when I was a kid, because you could be a St. Clair specialist and you're not going to really go anywhere else in the country and say, oh yeah, I remember this from back home, and relate that. I mean, it's truly a lake in itself. So, and the main reason why is just the lack of structure. You look at Ontario, Erie, the parts of Lake Huron that have fish, Lake Michigan, not so much. Lake Michigan got a lot of sand. But those lakes, I mean, predominantly you're talking rock piles, or if you're fishing shallow, you might be talking like sand breaks, but really defined pieces of structure, where you can go look on your map, look on your Lake Master and say, hey, I want to fish this hump. I want to fish this point, go over there, idle around. And, I'd idle around until you find them a lot of times. I mean, you're just looking for them on the graph. You're looking for the big rock piles off of the rocks or whatever it is. I mean, it's really specific fishing out there. And, you know exactly what you're going out to when you're running out there. I mean, you're going to one spot, dropping down, and the fish are either going to be there or they're not, and most of the time they're there. So it's a pretty get rich quick kind of fishing, and I think it's why a lot of people like it. It's why you see a lot of big bags of fish pretty consistently. Whereas St. Clair, it's the exact opposite. It's just a gradual drop off. The entire lake, it gets, you go from the bank and it just slowly drops off into 18, 19 foot, and once it gets there, it's 18, 19 foot, 20 miles all the way up to the other bank, and then it slowly goes up to the bank. So it's I mean, there's a little bit of contour out there. There's a couple like real gradual points and humps, but it's more so just you literally get out there, circle an area on the map that looks okay, and you just start fishing until you find them. You can get around and graph a little bit. Like sometimes you might run into like a really thick patch of weeds, which even that's kind of going away because the zebra mussels are eating the grass. So every year there's less and less weeds, but you just go out there and you just start covering water. Like you almost pray for a windy day if you've never been there or if you're practicing, because the more water you can cover, the better it gets. And then every time you mark or every time you catch like a 3 to, 5-6 pounder, you hit mark, and you hope at the end of the day, you kind of look on your GPS and you see like a little circle of where that school of fish is. I mean, it sounds really weird, but that's how it is out there. So a guy like me, that's tough because I just want to go out there. I do all my fishing off of electronics when I'm fishing offshore mostly. I want to look on my map and kind of try to visualize where those fish are going to be. And out there, it's, that's just not really the case. You just have to get out there and start fishing. And those fish are just, they're following schools of perch and gobies, and those fish are just constantly moving around with the wind, and when the wind blows, they leave and the smallmouth follow. I mean, they're here today, gone tomorrow. Yeah.
So you're gonna see Garrett at night in these coming months when he's home, taking rock piles out on his boat, dropping them and marking them.
I thought about that before this one, but that's
again. Is it legal in Michigan to drop?
No, it's not legal. So I thought probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah, it's not legal here in New York, but you can put down grass mats, which weed mats or whatever the heck you want to call them, and it doesn't make any sense to me.
Really?
Do you guys have weed mats in Michigan?
You can plant weeds in New York.
No, so they're weed mats. So like you go to a dock, and so somebody who wants to jump off the dock and not jump into like a whole clump of grass,
right?
They take like this big rug, like this 10 by 10 foot rug
carpet that they lay on the bottom,
and they lay it. Yeah, and they lay it down, so they're allowed to install
that goes
those
on the bottom of the lake.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But so they call them weed mats, but we're not allowed to put any sort of structure.
Yeah, that's
You guys have those in Michigan, or are we the only ones?
I don't know if I've seen those, but they hate the weeds here, so I'm sure guys do it. I don't know. Yeah, it's strange how.
It's bad, dude. Like especially preseason when everybody takes their docks out before ice. You know, when ice is out, and then you go out that preseason before people put their docks in, you lose so many baits because you snag those rugs, and I can imagine. Horrifying.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
That first time when you get that first sunny day where it's like almost kind of you can safely swim, you can make. It's like a great shopping trip if you go around the lake and you just look at these weed mats and see what's snagged on them. You can get some great. That's how I have some of my Vision 110s. Just go along there and you replace the treble hooks, and that's all there is to it. They're extremely annoying. Extremely annoying. I don't know if we were the only ones that had them, Andy.
Yeah, I don't think we know yet. No.
Jeez,
I'm sure they're coming.
Yeah, I hope for your sake it's not. But another question for you based on St. Clair, if the A-rig was legal in the elites, would you have thrown the A-rig during the St. Clair tournament?
Yeah, that's all I would have thrown. Yeah, that'd have made my life a lot easier.
That's funny.
So
that's a good. That's a really good lake for that.
Okay.
I think I broke the world record 2 smallmouth catch on an A-rig on Saturday. I had an 8-incher and a 12-incher eat it.
Jeez.
At the same time. I was like, what is going on? I reefed into him. I was like, oh, it's giant. I was like, it's a giant. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, it's 2, but they're this big. I was so mad.
Andy, you got anything for Garrett before we hop into talking about the fall swing?
No, I mean, St. Clair is just a place that I want to go fish, but I almost don't want to because I'm so accustomed to fishing rock.
Yeah.
And gravel transitions, and I feel like if I go there, I'm going to be lost.
Yeah. One thing, and the time that I spend most out there is in the spring, like April to May, where the fish are pre-spawn, and they get in 6 to 10 foot, and it's all really specific stuff. We got a lot of rocks up shallow. And that's a time where you can go out there and look around and find those spots, and then you can just crush them. I mean,
on my way.
It's amazing how many fish will get like in 6 foot of water on one rock. So if you like that, that's the time to go. That's when I love to go. That's actually the time that I pray that they had a tournament in the spring, but that'll probably never happen just because we can't keep the fish in our live wells before June.
Right.
But so if you like fishing that way, you need to come here in the spring and you will have a blast.
And maybe once the border opens, so it's only a 4-hour drive for me as opposed to like 10.
Yeah. Yeah, that was tough going to New York this year for me. That hurt me, not being able to cut through.
Yeah, I was planning on that in April before COVID really became, the travel bans and such. Garrett, I'm sure you know him, but Benjamin Nowak in Michigan, him and I had planned a trip the second weekend of April. But then they closed the border, so my 4-hour drive to the north end of St. Clair turned into a 9-hour drive down through Ohio. And I told them, quite frankly, dude, I don't want to double my trip. And of course, that week, that's when they started doing the travel ban. So it kind of it sucked that it didn't happen, but it also kind of worked out where it's like, okay, we're just going to reschedule till another time. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully this spring I can make it up to St. Clair because that's, like Andy said, that's top of the bucket list.
Yeah, it's there's literally days where you talk to everybody and everyone's like, I caught 100 today. What was your best 5? 24, 25 pounds. Like literally everybody on the lake is catching them like that. It's crazy, man. If you can get here, you need to.
Absolute riot. I'm on my way.
And it's all like, it's not finesse fishing, crankbaits, swim baits, rattle traps, all the fun stuff, jerk baits. So That's how I like to fish. That's probably how you like to too. It's better than dragging a tube around and waiting for a bite.
I absolutely hate finesse fishing, I consider myself a somewhat decent drop shotter, but anything else, I'm like, put the fairy wand away. I can't handle it. So it pains me when I have to use a spinning rod.
Something that is pretty fun though about it, watching your drop shot drop on your graph when you see that fish and watching that fish commit to your bait. Something about that though.
Yeah,
extremely addicting to me.
Yeah, that is fun. But just aimlessly casting it around and
so boring.
That's not my thing.
Start singing to yourself as you're dragging a tube. It's like, come on.
Which is it's a great question because we have it here in the comments. And then Forrest asked it as well. And it's if you could choose one technique to fish for the rest of your life, what would it be? I think it's a great question to go off of basically what we were just talking about because you're not a finesse guy. So if you could choose one technique, I mean,
is this am I choosing this to try to compete or just what I love to do?
For fun. We'll say for fun. Okay, how about this? One bait
we'll do
for
one
fun,
each. Okay.
And then one to compete.
Well, this is what's so sick about this is if I have to do one to compete with every day, it'll be a drop shot, unfortunately. I mean, that's just something that catches them every day.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to enjoy doing that. So the one that I'm going to enjoy doing is probably a chatterbait or a lipless crankbait. I mean, I'd take either one of those. They're pretty similar. As far as fishing them in the spring, that's I'll go chatterbait. If I had to do one, that chatterbait, that's a fun way to fish. I mean, that's how you catch a lot of big fish. You're always moving, always winding. That's tough to beat for me.
Yeah, vicious bites on that thing.
And it just, for whatever reason, the biggest fish in the lake like it.
Yeah,
it's.
I think it's
with.
They're definitely not accustomed to seeing that yet. But I think what's really cool, and I'm very anxious to test out. And I went to order them the other day, and they're gone everywhere it seems. But the stealth blades that Z-Man just came out with,
I'm
really excited to try those as well, especially early season.
Yeah,
that's gonna be interesting. But
that could be good for our northern lakes. We
exactly.
With all the clear water and all that, they like a little more subtle presentation.
Or even a late summer lake down south, either whether it be a spotted bass lake or maybe a Eufaula late summer, something like that could be something make a difference. I don't know how much that blade being visible or not makes a difference, but I'd be very curious to see if it does.
Yeah,
I think that could change a lot of guys of these guys going out with shaky heads in a drop shot all day, throwing a worm, and instead now you got guys throwing a finesse chatterbait, still cracking on the way that he wants to do it. So I think that'd be pretty cool to see that change. But
yeah, that'll be interesting.
No doubt.
Yeah,
so go ahead, Andy. Sorry.
I was gonna say the one area that I feel like it could take over is when they're on a swim jig bite, because it's going to give that a little bit different flash and vibration. Instead of that stealthy swim jig, that stealth chatterbait might actually get some bigger bites in that area. But
yeah,
now I almost feel bad for saying it.
Yeah. Yeah, if that thing's a deal, that could really be, kind of just like what the jackhammer is right now. That could be the next big thing.
Yeah. They have a new one too. It's it's not out yet, but it's the willow blade. It's almost like a vertical willow blade. That's their new. It's kind of interesting.
I think I've seen that.
I talked about it the other day, and it looks super interesting.
Okay.
I'm hoping to get my hands on that one too. It's cool to look at, and I know you guys both have the same track mind. It's just looking at baits that you can be yeah, this could be used this way. And it's either, you go to test it out and it's bomb, or you test it out and you're what was I thinking? And then you just never touch it
right
again.
In the garbage.
Yeah.
Or you test it out and you're this is decent. Throw it, put it away for 6 years, and then it blows up and it's the greatest thing ever. And you totally miss your chance to catch them on it, which has happened to me on a few of them.
I think that happened with the chatterbait with a lot of people, because it came out as a hot bait and then it kind of just
completely died off. Yeah.
And then Brett Height won that tournament at Seminole and then just took off again. I just threw my headphones. What am I doing? But yeah, it just took off, and now everyone throws a chatterbait. I feel even all of the smaller New York lakes and such, you go out and if you look at everybody's deck, everybody has a chatterbait tied on. I'm just oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because I remember when the Elites came here, maybe 5 years ago, to St. Clair. I remember some guys were throwing chatterbaits, and I'm like, these Southern guys are so stupid. Like, there's so many better baits, and now it's like the best bait in Michigan too. It was like we were behind it, whereas I just thought of it as like a Southern thing, and it just catches fish, man. Every species, every type of lake, it's unbelievable.
It's definitely a fun one.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think it was Bass Talk Live that had on Kevin Van Dam, and he was talking about how he was presented very early on the Ned rig, but
yeah, I
kind of blew it off, and then obviously it blew up.
Yeah, I heard like JT Kenny, someone gave him a rig, and he laughed and threw it in the trash when he walked away from the guy, and then 6 months later, that tournament happened at Gunnersville and blew up. So there's a couple of those stories.
That's crazy. That's nuts to me because like the A-Rig is probably one of the most infamous stories of how fast and quick that thing blew up.
Yeah, but I guess that guy that had him was giving him out in like the Pickwick Lake area for 6 months or so, and no one was taking him seriously. They were just kind of all laughing at him.
That's nuts. And now everybody's using them.
Yeah, now they're banned.
Now they're so good that they're banned.
They got banned relatively quick too. I feel like it only took like 6 months. After that tournament at Gunnersville, I think Bass banned it immediately.
I think Bass banned it immediately, and FLW let them use it for a year, and I think it won like 3 or 4 of their tournaments, and then they banned it. So
yeah.
Oh boy.
Which is interesting on that topic, the fact that I think any bass tournament except for the Federation local level, you can't use the umbrella rig. But in the FLW line of events, you can use it all the way up to the Toyota series.
Yeah, even the Toyotas, you can use them in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Interesting.
So
it's got to be pretty cool to be like, I created a bait or a presentation so good that the Pro Series got rid of it because it was too dominant.
Yeah.
You've been successful as a business owner in the fishing industry if you've done that.
Absolutely.
No doubt. Well, Garrett, talking future with you, the fall swing. So you got, which is weird because we brought this up prior. We brought up with Cody Holland, and we mentioned, because for the majority of us who are all Elite fans, this time of year we're like, okay, season's pretty much over.
Yeah.
Being September, you guys are halfway done, which is kind of weird for everybody.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So that being said, what are your thoughts moving forward? And also, is there a location that you're most excited for compared to others? And what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, first, I think it's going to be really cool because we kind of become accustomed as fans of the sport. Just, when you go to, South Carolina in April, what you're going to see, bed fishing, the baits, whatever. When you go to the TV in May or June, it's going to be a ledge fishing, and you already know what's going to happen. You might see a cool bait or something or whatever, but you already know how the tournament's going to play out. And these ones, this is going to be something's going to happen, and maybe every single one of these tournaments that's going to kind of shock the industry. I think, it might be a bait, a pattern, something new is going to come out of it, which is going to be cool because we kind of, it almost feels like we're going stagnant a little bit, whereas you're seeing the same thing every time, which will be really exciting to see that. Just as a fan of the sport, that's what I want to see. I want to learn, and I want to see how guys catch fish. So it'll be cool. But I think you're also going to be shocked how tough some of these places are going to be. We know Santee Cooper is 30 pounds a day when we were supposed to go there in April, I think we're going to go there in April, and it's, 30 pounds after 3 days could be leading the tournament. So it'll be kind of shocking in that sense, but maybe we'll be surprised too. Maybe we'll go to these places and there'll be a bunch of 5 to 8 pounders biting topwater. So, but I think overall it's going to be pretty tough. It's going to be really challenging. It's going to be probably pretty hot down there. The conditions aren't going to be ideal, but those to me are really fun tournaments. Those are a test of, the true physical strength of guys at that point. Guys that are keeping their head in it, are willing to fish all day for 5 to 6 opportunities to catch a fish. And if you're not on your game, you're completely gonna, miss the ball and have a bad event. So it'll be fun. I look at those tournaments, to me, Gunnersville and Chick are the two that I want. I kind of consider them the same tournament almost. It's going to be really grass related, a lot of frogging and flipping. That's like the two techniques I kind of did a lot of my damage on around the house when I was growing up fishing tournaments. Those are my two favorite things to do. And I've never really had a chance to do it on the Elite Series or on any kind of national tournament. So I'm hoping I can go to those two and kind of put that together and, have two good events. Santee Cooper is going to be a complete wild card. I don't think many people besides maybe the guys that live in South Carolina know what's going to happen with that, which will be cool. And then Lake Fork, from what I'm seeing, it'll kind of be tough, but there should be some really giant fish caught still, like 10 and 11 pounders. So we might, might see another century belt there. So that would be a really cool way to end the season. Some guy catching 10 pounders on top water or something. But yeah, I'm really
Too much fun.
I'm excited for Gunnersville and Chick. I mean, those are going to be two tournaments that I feel like I should do well at.
Yeah, I feel like for Fork, we're going to see everyone in the field throwing swim baits or top water, and Steve Kennedy is going to be throwing a Huddleston the entire time.
Yeah, you're going to see some craziness, and according to my research, you might see a little something else too. So we'll see. It'll be a 0 to 40 foot tournament. There'll be guys making the top 10 doing everything, so it'll be nice.
Well, I will keep a keen eye on your Instagram story and hope that you make live so I can see what this other research.
I'm sure a lot of guys saw the same thing, so but it wasn't what I was expecting for November fishing.
Yeah, well, I hope I can learn a thing or two, because there is a chance that Lake Fork is going to be the location of the Bass Nation Kayak National Championship. That's in conjunction with you guys down in March that I've for. So I've been my mind has been running rampant looking at all these lakes around Ray Roberts, trying to figure out where the heck they're going to schedule this thing, because they haven't announced it yet. But it'd be cool if it was.
The thing is, I'm guessing every lake that time of year will be pretty good. So wherever they put you, it should be pretty good fishing.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard this is the story that I've heard talking to a bunch of guys in the South and guys that are who are pretty close to people throughout Bass, saying as long as it's not Louisville, that's all. That's pretty much been the mantra that I've heard, is that Louisville is really bad. So if that's
we'll
the
see.
case,
There's an open going there right now, I think, or in a couple of weeks. So you'll see how bad it is.
Yeah,
I think the last Lake Louisville Open was 2009, and I think it was like 12 pounds a day one.
If I remember correctly, I think a guy had 18 or something on day one. I think he zeroed the next day for sure, and he might have caught like one fish on day 3, or maybe he zeroed on day 3 and he finished like 3rd or 4th. So that's Lake Louisville.
I think Ike and Ellie did really well with that one, if I remember correctly, right? Is that Louisville I'm thinking of? Yeah,
well, I know one Van Dam won way back in the day. And I know one, I think Josh Bertrand tied or something for the win. And I think he lost a tiebreaker.
That's crazy.
Those are the only 2 I remember.
Jeez.
I would love to watch a live tiebreaker, because they spoke about it at Claire.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, they're like talking about the process if it were to happen. I'm sitting there, I'm like, I hate to be the guy that has to go out there and do it, the 2 guys that have to do it. But like, as a fan, watching a tiebreaker has to be has to be incredible. That's crazy. But man, I'm looking forward to watching the fall swing. Just kind of see how you guys adjust, how your mindset works. Just kind of seeing what the adjustments that you guys make going into those days, and seeing how obviously it's going to be completely different than what we've watched in a long time. Yeah. For whether the live stream or the shows or whatever they might be, it's going to be interesting. Not only for you guys, but I think it's going to be pretty cool for the fans, and see what things we can pick up on.
Like I said, I think it'll be a boost for the industry. I think you're going to see some baits that you don't normally get to see, which will be cool.
I want to see a blade bait, one of these tournaments, become a deal. I think I figured it out.
He's going to shit everything we say. So
we're going to edit that out.
But, oh, man. I actually think it could benefit and kind of like not so much ruin it, but make it tougher for elite guys in the future, because if the ratings on ESPN are so good with live and everything, you might see the Elite Series tournament schedule next year go from January to November if you get good ratings in the fall.
Yeah.
which
I
is
mean,
crazy to think about. Like, you might have a 10-month season next year if ESPN with the live and Bassmaster have really good ratings.
yeah, if we stay on ESPN, we'll fish every week. As far as I'm concerned, I'm good with that. So
it's freaking awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy. I remember how incredible it was when it went live the first time, which was only like 5 years ago, and now it's live on ESPN. So it's growing really fast, and that is, the best thing possible for our anglers and just the organization.
The amount of viewership that it's getting too on ESPN is it's almost mind blowing. It's like, who knew so many people are in tune with bass fishing? And I know the first one had like 5 million viewers or something. The one that was live at Eufaula over the weekend, which is just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's almost better viewership than a hockey game or a football game.
Right.
So it's right up
competing
there.
Right there. Yeah. And COVID helps. I mean, guys were, some people were probably bored, but you want to bring in new people to the sport, and that is like, I mean, that's the ultimate way to do it. So the more we can see on ESPN, the better.
So the first thought that pops in my mind there is deer hunters. How many of these guys are going to be sitting in stand in November, because Fork's in November, right?
Yeah.
So how many people are going to be sitting in the deer stand watching bass live with their headphones in, waiting for a deer to walk by?
Yeah, hopefully a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be.
Mm-hmm.
It's either you take a nap or watch bass live. So
it's interesting.
People are probably gonna be missing a lot of deer that weekend.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. It's gonna be interesting because, like you just mentioned, with your phone out and headphones on, I have done that, and I've done it with college football. But there's this shift with college football. These teams not playing right now that are talking about. Yes, they might try a couple games in the fall, but they've been looking at a shift to the spring season and shifting around college sports, which is super interesting. And I think it's a great opportunity for bass to get more viewers in the fall. I think it's a great opportunity for you guys to establish your ground in the fall time. And personally, especially with the way my teams have been playing, I am much more looking forward to watching bass live in the tree stand than watching sports. So I'm hoping and looking forward to that. That is for sure. And if not in the tree stand, then out on the boat, hopefully capitalizing on the fall bite. We'll see. We'll see. I don't have much experience in the fall, so this is going to be an interesting learning curve for me this fall for sure. But I'm excited to watch you guys. I'm excited to see how you guys adjust and you learn from it. And it's going to be cool to see if there's going to be anglers that did well in the spring into the summer that struggle in the fall, and guys who might be the opposite.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. I mean, I think I kind of joked about it when I was younger. My dad and we kind of took like a real statistical approach to fishing, and he's like, "Yeah, you need to go down south and work on fishing in the fall. You don't know anything about it." I'm like, "Yeah, we're never gonna fish big tournaments in the fall on the Elite Series, so don't worry about it." Here we are, half the season's in the fall. So
jinxed yourself.
Yeah, I jinxed myself. But I've had some really tough tournaments, and I've actually had some really good tournaments fishing the Opens and the Toyota Series. So
that's cool.
I feel okay about it, and I feel like I've kind of learned some things each event to hopefully help me these next 4.
Heck yeah, man. I'm looking forward to seeing how you do, and I'll be rooting for you, obviously, Team Douglas. So I hope you do well. Hope to see you keep moving forward, and we'll see what happens, man. But I'm excited for all of you guys, because I think it's awesome. Like you said, like you mentioned multiple times, it's exciting for you guys, exciting for the fans, but it's very exciting for the industry.
Yeah, it is.
Will give us the industry the boost it needs after going through the hard times that it did.
Right.
So, but dude, the last question, and I know Andy is very excited to ask you this. I know you've talked about it a couple times, but Andy, would you like to do the honors and ask the final question we have here for Garrett?
Is it the 3-person one? Or which question are we doing here?
3-person one. No, we're talking about
the ice bag one. Gotcha. Yeah, sorry. But my audio is messing up.
Garrett's already gotten the three people to dinner. He's been on the podcast before.
I forgot about that. I apologize. But I actually can't hear Garrett again, so you're going to have to fill me in here for whatever reason. My wife got a FaceTime call and it threw the iPad into whack. But yeah, so what was the reasoning behind starting the ice bag and posting pictures to your Instagram story? And I know there's a lot of people who are doing the same thing now, which I know for a fact every time I walk into a store before a tournament, I'm like, man, I should really take a picture of an ice bag. But I find it like the most comical thing. And all of a sudden, I know you repost some of them, and I'm just like, he's got like a cult following of ice bag posters to see how much they weigh and to make sure they're true to size.
Yeah,
so that part is just comical to me, and I
we're
can't
starting
wait to hear the answer.
we are starting a trend right now. We are keeping ice companies honest, and it started around 4th of July. My buddy and I, we went into a local grocery store and picked up an 8-pound bag of ice, and kind of walking it back to the boat. And I'm walking it the whole way. I'm like, dude, I swear this isn't 8 pounds. Like, it's not even close. There's no way. So we get back to the boat, and I was like, let me weigh this thing, and it weighed 512. So it was over 2 pounds light. And from that moment forward, I wanted to decide and see how much we get ripped off every single day. So I tried to weigh them every single morning, and it's actually kind of shocking that these companies sell these ice bags that are like 10 pounds. They'll be 8 pounds, 7 pounds will be 5 pounds. And it's just funny, it's just something we do, have fun with. You'll find some that are over, but most of the time we're getting ripped off as consumers. So I want to spread awareness. I want us to make sure we get our money's worth, because $2.50 every morning isn't cheap. So if I'm going to have to do that, I at least need my full 7 to 8 pounds of ice every morning. I mean, we can't be skimping out on that, guys.
Heck yeah. Andy, did you hear any of that?
No.
So Andy, for some reason,
I will listen later, because I was trying to read lips and it wasn't looking. So every time you laughed, I kind of laughed and smiled to go with it. I was like, yeah. So I'll definitely fast forward in a little bit to hear the answer. I can't wait to hear. But for whatever reason, I lost the audio. Okay.
So for those tuning in, for some reason, Andy has had a weird audio experience with hearing what Garrett is saying. But essentially, Andy, what Garrett said is he's trying to keep the ice industry honest, because he keeps on finding these differences in weight when he finds like an 8-pound bag and it becomes 5 pounds.
That's never good.
No, but it would be very, very entertaining for me if you kind of created like either an Instagram or a YouTube series where you weighed each bag each morning, and if there was a difference, like if it was wrong, like you weighed an 8-pound bag and it was 5 pounds, you brought it in and you confronted them and be like, look what this weighs.
Just blast them.
Yeah, and I've had a lot of requests for that. So that's not out of the question. That might start happening.
That would be awesome. I would love to see that.
I'd love to see that. Yeah, the look on the guy's face would just be amazing.
Yeah, I feel like they'd be dumbfounded. But I'd love to see like a full studio like production here, like Ronnie Moore commentating as he follows you into the gas station. I want to see this on Bass Live each morning, like your daily ice bag weighed on Bass Live.
You have to go like straight Karen on him and like, I want to speak to your manager.
Mm-hmm. I am a Bass Elite Angler.
I want the number of the rep that brought this ice.
Yeah.
Oh, it'd be so great.
I love that. Great production value there.
Yeah, you're not the first person that said that.
Business mantra: keeping companies' ice bags honest, or something along those lines. It'd be fantastic.
Yeah, if you guys are watching it and you go out in the morning and weigh your bag of ice, tag me, G Paquette Fish, and we'll share it. We'll keep it going because we're getting a pretty good following with it. It's a lot of fun.
We're gonna get a trend going, and if it doesn't become fixed, we're gonna start riding over the ice bag weights. That's funny. Well, Garrett, I don't think we have any more questions for you. The comments we've had. I do have one more question here for you from in the comment section, and it's quite interesting. And I'm not going to ask you, but can you see the screen, the full screen, Garrett?
No, I can't see any comments.
Okay. Well, I'm going to put it up on the screen here. I don't know if you can see that question, but
okay.
If you can answer,
I would definitly answer Bailey personally. I wouldn't save me.
Can I just say myself and just be done with it, or
the answer would be just leave them both.
Leave them both perfect.
If they're both drowning,
about 50 pounds heavier than Bailey, so it'd be a little harder to get me in the boat.
I'm kind of like a short memory guy, so I guess whoever is probably boat we're fishing out of, whoever put me on fish or was nice to me or bought me dinner last, that's who I'm saving. So. It is what it is.
Well, Andy, looks like we're both screwed, dude, because we both can't find fish.
Oh, yeah, it's true. That's true. I at least can't catch. I can't catch big fish for whatever reason. I can catch a lot of 3-pounders, but count me out after that this year.
Yeah. Andy, you got anything for Garrett before we head off here?
I can't hear him, so even if I answered a question, you have to rebuke the answer. So.
Oh man! Well, next time Garrett will have you on. Hopefully, Andy can actually hear you.
Yeah.
Well, what happened was, like I said, my wife's best friend FaceTimed her, and it threw the screen up because it's an iPad. And I was like, "Oh, come on!"
God dang it, Amanda!
Right? She needed her computer, otherwise I'd be on the computer. She had to finish work.
Work comes first. But
Yes.
Garrett, you got anything before we sign off tonight?
No, man. I think we're good. I appreciate it as always. We talked about the fall swing. After it's done, let's get back on and see how it went and break it down.
Heck yeah, I'm all for that. We'll be sure to get you on, say late November.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun to get you on there and talk about it because like it's new to a lot of people. It's new to us, new to you.
Right.
It's gonna be pretty cool to see how things
can't wait.
Yeah, expectations versus how it went, and I think it'll be pretty cool to see what comes of it, dude. But good luck. We'll be rooting for you. We'll stay in touch, and you're always welcome, man. So good luck. Keep killing it, and wish you the best.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me, and everybody take care and be safe.
You too, man. Take care. It's good to see you.
Yeah, have a good night.
Keep ice bags honest. Oh, I messed it up. Keep ice companies honest.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm just gonna keep laughing and smiling. I can't hear anything.
He leaned in and he goes, "Keep ice companies honest." That was his last message for everybody.
It's amazing.
I know.
Amazing.
That was good, dude. That was awesome to talk about that. I think what was really interesting was talking about the difference between St. Clair and the Great Lakes, because a lot of people mesh those in together. And I've been a culprit of that. A long time ago, I used to mix those in where they were kind of like the same, but they don't fish the same. They really don't. And it's cool to hear how grass becomes a factor for smallmouth, because you don't hear about that a lot.
So the only places that you really think about it in like New York would be Champlain, maybe Chautauqua. But that's like just about it. Like some of our bigger Finger Lakes, they don't really get on grass. Oneida's one that sometimes they'll get on grass. Well, it used to. Who knows what Oneida's like now? You know a little bit of it, but I mean, I feel like that lake has completely changed in the last 4 to 5 years. But yeah, I mean, like our smallmouth in New York do not really live in grass except for a couple places. So it's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting and very different for a lot of people that expect to go up there and be fishing boulders and drifting and whatnot. It's a whole different scene, but it's kind of cool. But dude, what do you got? I know you and I have a tournament in November, but
long ways away. So I know you have Chameau coming up at the Douglas Derby with Jeff.
El Jefe.
That'll be fun. El Jefe. The Duke of Buffalo.
I got
the Duke of Hamburg, actually, but
the Duke of Hamburg. I have the Fed event at Cayuga this weekend.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Angler. So that's going to be.
That's this weekend. I thought that was the 27th.
No, that is this weekend because Chameau is next weekend, which is
the 26th. For some reason, I thought Cayuga was next weekend, but whatever.
It is this weekend, and I'm hoping to do well. It is a 3-fish limit again. So hoping to get at least a limit of 2-pounders, and I think that'll solidify me for the regional. We'll see.
How about the dude that won the ABA there on the co-angler side?
I didn't see who won the co-angler side.
He had 18 pounds for 3 fish.
What? Oh, my gosh.
I think he had almost an 8-pound kicker. Yeah, it was an 8-pound kicker.
So he beat everybody.
He even beat the boaters.
16 pounds won for the boater.
The boater side, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I did not see that. That's absurd. Wow.
Yeah, I think he had 18.94.
That's ridiculous.
For 3. Yeah, with an 8-pound kicker.
Was it largemouth or smallmouth?
I don't know. I didn't see any pictures, but I'm assuming they were largemouth.
We'll talk offline here. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Oh my god, I would pray for a bag that big, but I'm hoping it goes well because it'd be cool to make the regional. But hopefully, I draw somebody I can sit behind and learn from and have a good time. But I'm excited for it. It's gonna be a good week. And then next weekend, El Jefe and I taking on Chameau Bay for the Douglas Big Money Open. That's gonna be a blast. big old smallmouth. Looking forward
You
to that
guys are
one.
going to slay them. So
Yeah.
what do I have coming up? I have maybe 4 tournaments in 3 weekends. I have the river this weekend again for the 3rd time in a row. Then I have Honeyaway.
Boo.
And then I have our Club Classic, which is a team trail, which is on the Lower Niagara, Lake Ontario. And then I think I'm fishing a open at Lime Lake on October 4th, which is a private lake. You can't get on it unless you get like special permission. Lime Lake Marine, this side, is going to be holding that tournament. Then after that is the Douglas Big Money 2-dayer on Erie. I'll be fishing with Elite Series Pro Destin Marion.
And me and Mike Schnupp are going to
doing the Sarge
face. What's going to happen?
I hope you guys do well. And then we have our derby on Cuca in November, which will be an absolute riot if they get to chew. I'm off that entire week. So I haven't been there in a couple of years. So I'm going to try to get there at least 2 to 3 days because I'll be in Rochester. So I'm going to try to get there for a couple of days in practice.
I think it's gonna be a blast, dude. I'm so looking forward to that. And originally, our last podcast, I didn't plan on adding. That was gonna be my last tournament, but I have added another tournament to my schedule. I've already booked the Airbnb. I'm headed down November 17th.
Oh, you're going to Chick, right?
I'm going to fish. Yeah, I'm going down to Lake Chickamauga, fishing the Bass Nation kayak event on Lake Chickamauga.
Can you throw an A-rig in that?
No, you cannot. No.
Just make sure you check Tennessee laws because they may have outlawed the A-rig before you go.
We'll see.
I think Tennessee did.
I'm definitely not going to throw a 10-inch mag draft the entire time.
Absolutely not. Why would you?
Not.
Why would you?
No, I don't know what's going to happen. It's a whole new territory. I'm obviously going down there. I want to win. I think it's going to set up. I'm talking to a couple of guys. Just how it's going to set up. I think it kind of sets up my wheelhouse. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I have 3 days of practice. It's going to be fun. 12-hour drive. But it's one of the lakes on my bucket list, and I want to go down there compete. I want to be competitive. I want to go for the win. But I think all in all, just coming out of it, learning more about how that TVA system sets up, especially in the fall, is going to be quite the learning experience. And obviously the chance at a 7+, much better opportunity at a 7+ than up here, I think is all enough more reason to get down there and fish. But I'm super excited for it because I think it'd be a great opportunity to get comfortable on that national series.
Definitely a bucket list lake.
No doubt.
Definitely. Maybe this spring maybe that's what I'll do this spring. I'll take a week and go to Chick.
Well, just let me know, dude, because if you go without me, I'm going to be pissed.
Might go in March.
Screw you, dude. It's all right. I'll be in Texas. Hopefully, catching 13-pounders.
I'm actually hoping to be. I would love to go to Texas that week. That'd be fun. I would love to follow the guys around on Ray Roberts and maybe do some fun fishing too.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Because who knows if there will be an expo this year with all the COVID regulations. So
yeah,
it's gonna be a tough spring.
Very interesting, but we'll see what happens, man. But it's gonna be super interesting. But you got any last regards before we sign off here tonight?
It is not a rig season, so make sure you just leave them all at home.
Yep,
that's my first regard. As the water temps start getting colder, stay safe. We don't want any tragic accidents in the fishing industry, and
be like Andy and blow up your life vest before you fall in the water.
Yes, absolutely. I have a bad history of blowing them up doing random things like bellying fish or standing up and it catching on a steering wheel or pulling it underneath my knee as I go to net a fish. Like, it's bad history.
Any tips for Cuca? Go fishing.
Go fishing. Like, I literally don't have anything there. I haven't fished there in 3 years, and I only fished there late fall.
Yeah.
So anything that I'm going to tell you probably won't work now.
The last time I fished Cuca was April. And the last time I've caught a fish over 4 pounds on Cuca was December 28th of this past winter.
Funny you mentioned December 28th. That was the day I fished Lake Erie with my buddy Corey and Justin. I think we caught over 100 fish in 35-degree water temps.
I caught 3 smallmouth. 1 was over 4 pounds.
I think every fish we caught was 4 pounds.
I caught like 25 Lakers.
That's a blast. So one of the things I want to do is go out in the Great Lakes once I upgrade my graphs, and I want to side scan and try to find lake trout and jig for them with like the 744 with like a 1.5 ounce bullet head and a fluke. I feel like that would just be a riot.
See, I would do that for 5 minutes, and I'd be like, "Hey, what are the smallmouths doing?" And I'd leave.
Well, when you have an opportunity of catching a 40-pound lake trout,
I don't know. The way I look at it is like the time I'm wasting on these lake trout is the time I could be spending for a 7-young smallie. So it's like,
yeah, I mean, right now it's not really 7-pound smallie season. Oh, absolutely. You got about another 3 to 4 weeks before you have an opportunity at an absolute giant. Because little known fact people don't realize is the reason why smallmouth get so fat in the fall and winter is because they're actually developing their eggs for the spawn in the next year. So not only are they feeding up for the winter, but they're feeding up to get ready to spawn in the spring. Yeah. So when you go out and over the next couple of weeks, you'll progressively see like those 4 to 5 pound fish start being 5 to 6 pounds. And that's because they actually have a lot of egg membrane in their stomachs, and that's what's making them bulge so much. They're putting on their winter weight and spring weight, so they're ready for the spawn come late April, May, June, which is kind of crazy to think about. But in the human birth cycle is 9 months. A fish is 6, maybe, I would assume, before their eggs are ready to mature and hatch.
That's crazy.
And the only reason why I knew that is like, poor fish. I caught one in I think it was beginning of October, end of September, a few years ago. It was like a 5-pounder, and it died, unfortunately. That I didn't fizz it properly, or smallmouth they just do wonky things and die sometimes. Yeah. And I cut it up afterwards because I was just curious what it was feeding on. And I opened up its stomach, and all these smallmouth eggs come pouring out. And I'm like, interesting. And I did some more research, and they actually do develop their eggs usually in the fall for the spring. So it's even more important to take care of the fish now, so you have a good spawning class come spring. Yeah. Interesting. So I talked to Kyle Patrick, the one who helps with like the Douglas tournaments. And I told him, I go, when we have this tournament in Buffalo, these fish need to be returned back to the lake, because they are prime spawning fish that will be weighed in. And if we release them just outside of the harbor, they aren't going to have a shot at making it all the way back to their wintering grounds, which are anywhere from 5 to 20 miles away, and they have to go through a lot of current to get there. It's just not the time of year to really be messing with them. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And I know not a lot of people like to do it, but like, you know how in the preseason tournaments you have a quote-unquote mixed tournament where it's essentially MLF style, but you're still weighing your best 5? Mm-hmm. It might almost be a better deal for those smallmouth. Oh, I absolutely agree. I'm actually praying that it blows both days so we can fish the Niagara River, because Kyle did say that they're talking about making it the river if it blows. I have not fished Owasco ever. So the one thing I will tell you about Owasco, and I've never fished there, but I'm assuming it sets up similar to every other Finger Lake. 1, you have deep water. 2, you have alewives. So they're just out there roaming, and roaming smallmouth are so hard to find. Unless you have Panoptics, you're probably not going to catch more than 5 in a day. You're probably still not going to catch many because they're out there chasing bait suspended over 100 foot of water. They're like, you're better off probably going and finding a lake trout school or steelhead or a rainbow trout school and dropping on them and hoping there's some smallmouth mixed in. Very true. So sorry, Tony, we're not very proficient with Owasco, but Owasco I think is about 5-pounder. What was that?
I know a guy that caught a 5-younder last week at Owasco.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure there's shallow fish to be caught. I mean, when I say shallow, anywhere from 1 foot to 20 foot, or maybe even 30, because all of our Finger Lakes are just insanely deep.
I think your best bet is just cruising those deep weed lines, honestly.
Yeah, throw spinnerbait,
you'll probably run into both.
Maybe even a spy bait. Anything where you can find bait fish, you're gonna find smallies.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, regardless, right now those deep weed lines, one, look for bait balls, look for fish boiling on top, and early on, just throw a top water, and then try to find those deep grass lines. Regardless of their largemouth or smallmouth, those deep grass lines are going to have fish cruising it. I think Owasco is one of those musky lakes, is it not? Or am I wrong?
Think so. It could be Otisco. That's how unfamiliar
I
am.
That's Juanita Lamoca. That's what I'm thinking of.
Well, Juanita Lamoca, and it's actually I think it is Owasco has a huge tiger muskie population.
That's Otisco.
Yeah, so it's Otisco. It's one of those O's, and they're right next to each other.
Yep.
And Auburn, New York is like 2.5, maybe even 2 3/4 an hour away from me. Otisco, Owasco, Skinny Atlas are all in that same ballpark. So I just don't get out there because if I'm going to drive 2.5 hours, I'm going to go to Sodus Bay or Cayuga. Yeah. I mean, shoot, I'll go to Honey Eye before I drive all the way out there because it's too. I love that lake. I don't know why you hate on it.
I hate it.
Everybody hates it, and I have so much fun when I go there. Like, I don't go there hoping to catch giant fish because you can't think that way. I go there looking for 5 3-pound bites, 2.5 to 3-pound bites, and that is a great day. And you're going to catch 50 to 60 fish working for it. It's just fun.
See, with my mind, it's like, why go there? Yes, you're going to catch a lot of fish, but in my mind, I'm like, I want to go somewhere where I have the best probability and highest percentage of catching a freaking giant and multiple of them. So that's why I don't fish Honey Eye.
I think it's like my grinder mentality. Like, when I go to Honey Eye, I fish kind of like off the wall stuff that people. I almost never see another boat when I'm fishing there because I fish such.
How you could see the whole lake? Obviously, you could see.
No, I mean, you could see them, but I'm never really fishing around people. I should say.
Oh man!
Like I can see them like 100 yards away or 200 yards away, but I don't fish very like typical things that I fish very differently than a lot of people. So that's why I find it fun.
Sitting with the 10 boats in the Southern Channel is what you're saying?
The Southern Channel or like the Northern Flat. Those are the two areas I avoid, and I go there specifically targeting stuff that I think bigger than average fish will be sitting on there. Because the Honey Eye average is 1 3/4 to 2 1/4. So like if you catch 10.5 pounds, you're going to probably finish 15th place in a 30-boat tournament. But if you catch 11 pounds, you're going to be in the top 10. If you catch 12 pounds, you have a good shot at being top 5. So you're just looking for that 2.5 to 3 1/4 pound bite. And then just get lucky that you catch one that's like 3 3/4, 4. And I have almost every time I fish there, I usually get 1 or 2 of those 3.5 to 4 pound bites.
Interesting. I still don't like it. You're never going to persuade me.
Oh, I don't care if I persuade you. So I haven't been there in. When was the last time I fished Honey Eye? It was last spring I fished it. I haven't been there in a year and a half.
All right, let's go this fall so that you can actually show me.
I'm going there in 2 weeks, and then after October I won't go there again because they drop the water and it's almost impossible to launch a boat.
All right, never mind. We'll just go to Keuka instead.
Keuka, Canisius. Although Canisius is, I have a feeling it's on its way down. Now that they're spraying, it's not good, and it's so sad.
Guys are still catching them, but I feel like you need to be out there consistently to keep up with what the fish are doing. And quite frankly, I haven't been out there in a very long time. So I know if I go out there, it's going to be – I'm not afraid of grinding to figure out where they are, and I'm sure I could find them eventually, but I'm afraid of how long it's going to take me.
Come October, I think I could compete at Canisius, but do I want to go to Canisius because I have Lake Erie and I'd be fishing for the same fish, essentially. Lake Erie when it's calm or Canisius when it's blowing and raining, I think I'm going to lean Lake Erie.
No doubt.
7-minute drive, hour and a half.
Yep. I will take an hour and a half over 20 minutes any day.
Yeah.
For Lake Erie. But I don't know, dude. I'm excited. We got to get out in Lake Erie soon.
Oh, frick yeah. First, we have a couple other things I talked to you about that I want to do with you to have some fun. But we're not going to talk about those because they're pretty to the tight chest stuff. Just ways to have fun in the Great Lakes. So,
Yeah.
But I mean, we might post some stuff about it. Maybe not.
Probably not.
Maybe say it's the wrong bait from what we're catching them on. Just the typical.
We were throwing a 10-inch mag draft over 50 feet of water.
Absolutely. I actually, I wouldn't be surprised if we did that and caught a salmon.
New York in the spring is magical in general.
I think you could say that about New York all year round, because if you hit the lake at the right time, you can have a magical day if it's April, May, July, August, all the way till December. Like, a lot of people don't realize we can fish almost till December, if not through December in New York, and still have really good days, in which I can't wait for the end of October when bow season starts, because there's an eighth of the people on the water. But the best days are 35 to 40 degrees, raining, blowing 15 to 20 miles an hour, and those fish just eat.
Yeah. No.
And I wish I had a garage because I could open my boat up. So I'm kind of tentative at this point to do that. But if we have 4 or 5 days of 45 degrees and sun afterwards, might just be worth it to get a little flu-like symptoms and have a couple days off of work.
That's funny.
Oh, man.
Man. Well, all right, dude. We're going to wrap it up. I feel like we
Yeah.
go on and on with the Finger Lakes, but I'm looking forward to actually just getting out there and fishing with you. So that was a good episode today, man. Great job. If anybody has any more questions, feel free to reach out to myself and Andy over social media, or reach out to the Serious Angler Instagram page. Shoot us a message if you have any questions, if there's stuff you want to talk about, if there's people you'd like to recommend us having on the show. Tell us how we're doing on the lives. Would greatly appreciate that. We got some pretty big stuff in store.
A lot of cool stuff.
Very, very cool stuff.
Yeah.
We have a lot of work on our hands pretty much, but we're looking forward to getting it rolling, looking forward to getting it put in. And again, just reach out to us. Follow us on Instagram or Twitter, Facebook, whatever. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Thank you guys again for watching and listening, and we'll see you guys next time.